Hello, my name is Kathy Kraus, and I'm the coordinator of Experiential Learning. Today we're going to talk a little bit about building your brand and different social media techniques that you can use. We're going to cover why you should begin building your brand, really look at how to fine-tune your social media, and how to explore different platforms you can use to project your brand. One of the most important things to remember is that employers nowadays are really taking advantage of social media from the standpoint of researching their candidates. If they receive a resume, they're going to take a look and Google search that name to find out a little bit more about the candidate and if they would fit into the corporate culture. Actually, 69% of hiring managers said they used social media in 2019, and 43% use social media to check up on current employees. Most workers now do have an online presence, so employers are going to look for that, and they'll be concerned if they see you don't have one. So the first thing we're going to do to fine-tune that social media is I want you to Google yourself. You can put your name in quotation marks to bring up the closest matches entries and find out more about your online presence. Does it really cover your personality? Does it show your involvement in school? Does it show your subject matter, what you're interested in? And you can even set up a Google alert on your name so you know what's being associated with it. Make sure you're still being yourself. It's okay to make them funny or silly. Just make sure they're appropriate for the social media that you are using. Now the next step is pause. Do not panic. If you think your social media may not be appropriate, we're going to work on that a little bit. So let's take a look at your profile. Don't erase everything right now. Employers, again, want to see you. They're going to wonder what you're hiding if you're not there. And it's okay to go ahead and show your personality. The next step is going to be taking a look at what you do have and cleaning it up a little bit. So what's the first impression that you want to make? Look at the pictures. Are they appropriate? Do you need to untag or do you need to hide some of those pictures? Think about, would you want an employer to see some of these pictures? Do they fit the social media that you're on? For example, Facebook. Take a look at your Facebook photo. Remember that when we Google you, we'll be able to see the main photo on your main page. Is that appropriate for people to see? Because employers are going to Google and that's what they'll find. So think about that. Now I want you to audit your social media. So you're going to take a look through previous points. You can evaluate if you need to hide or you need to delete. Now remember, different social media is appropriate for different things. So don't panic and say, my Facebook I use for friends and family. That's okay. Make it appropriate for friends and family. Employers are going to understand that. But again, make sure it's appropriate for the image you want to project. You can even look at activity logs to find anything you might have missed. You can check your groups. Check what you shared or tweeted or retweeted. And then you want to make sure that all your platform details match. So if on LinkedIn, I'm saying that I'm a grad student, and that's all I say, and then on Facebook, I say I got a new job, and then on Twitter, I'm tweeting about the job process and the company that I left, it may not be matching. So you want to make sure that all your platforms do match. Now let's start building your persona. Who are you? What do you want to project? And what's different about you than all the other people with your degree? What are those talents that you have? What makes you stand out? What's the easy thing within your industry that you can show and you can talk about? Find your niche. Be consistent with your social media handles. So you don't want one handle to say crazy Twitter persona when the other one says your name. You want to make sure that your handles are consistent. You don't want to be something that's hard to search. I love kitty cats, but I don't want to be the fluffy kitty lady in any of my handles. An employer might raise your eyebrows a little at that. So think about what's your goal. Choose your main media and post regularly. So that means you can choose LinkedIn and maybe Twitter, which might be more corporate. Or you can choose LinkedIn and maybe Instagram for employers to see, but make sure that you're consistent, that you're posting regularly. And that doesn't mean 5 times a day. That means throughout the week that you're posting regularly. And make sure that you're posting appropriate to each social media platform and vary it accordingly. So make sure you're using a professional looking picture. That means not a selfie. You want to make sure that you're dressed appropriately. So if you're putting it on LinkedIn, it should be a headshot. You can go to our LinkedIn Wednesday webinar or any of our LinkedIn information on our online resources on the career development page and find out more information on appropriate pictures. Make sure to, again, select a username that's consistent. Make sure it projects the image that you want. The easiest one to use is your name. Find it and stake your claim to your name. Use your name on your social media platforms as your username. Makes it much easier. And know your audience in each of the areas of your social media. So for example, if you're Facebook and you're with family and friends, that's awesome. Talk about the things that will be related and exciting for them. If you are on LinkedIn, they may not want to know where you ate dinner and what you ate. They may, if that's your field, but find the appropriate posts by knowing your audience. We're going to talk a little bit more now about specific tips for platforms. So let's go back to Facebook for a moment. They have added an About section where you can add in internship, other experience that are educational, relevant job experience. So let's say you have a family friend that is on one of your family members' Facebook, and they see a post about you and they hear about everybody celebrating your success. They want to be able to then find your Facebook and then start to search you. So you want to make sure that your Facebook reflects some information that they might be able to learn more about you, but you also want to be able to link it to other professional social media. So they may not want to scroll through your Facebook as much as they may want to see your LinkedIn. So make it easy. Put your professional social media links right there on your Facebook. On your Facebook, make sure you're following organizations, groups. You're part of the audience where you want to be and projecting a single message. So you're thinking about showing everybody exactly what you do, and that's why you're putting this information in there. So again, if somebody is looking at it, they can find out that information about you. So when I say update your status, I mean that section, that About section. I don't mean whether or not you're saying you're single, in a relationship, not in a relationship. When I mean status, I'm like updating all of your social media. So let's talk about LinkedIn. As I said, we have a webinar Wednesday. We actually have 2 webinar Wednesdays on LinkedIn, so you can check those out through our social media and get the links to that. You can also review our LinkedIn at a glance resource that directly addresses ideas and concepts on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a professional area where you can really show who you are and your experiences, and you can get endorsements and support for what you've done. So make sure you create a headline with keywords and phrases from your industry. The nursing industry posts might be different than somebody who works in exercise physiology. Those keywords may differ. An accounting keyword may be extremely different from a TV film or a dance major. A dance major may need something very different than a TV film. Biology students, there's certain keywords. Microbiology, organic biology, all different keywords. So you want to make sure that you're using the appropriate phrases. Remember, on LinkedIn, you can customize your URL, and that's very important. You want people to be able to find you. And again, it's when you do that Google search, it's going to grab your LinkedIn as long as it's easy to search. If your URL is saying something that's not related to you, it's going to be harder for people to find you. Think about professionals you've worked with at internships, professionals you've met through different events you've been through, to professionals you've met even out at Starbucks when you're standing talking to somebody and they said, oh, I work at such and such. Go ahead and connect with them. Just be sure to personalize your request so people remember where they met you and what you talked about. I heard a great conversation behind me one day at Starbucks, and that's what makes me think about it, is that a student had a t-shirt on that said their college, and a gentleman had commented on the t-shirt, and it turned out that he was in the industry that the student was doing their degree in. And I just thought it was great. And so personalize it. Remind them where you met them. Remember, that goes with alumni too. We have in the Career Development Center a group of DSU mentors that would love to speak with you and tell you more about their journey. Check in with us on how to get connected with DSU mentors. And again, check out all of our links so that you can get to all these resources. So let's talk about Twitter. That may not be your first choice in social media, but if you go through Twitter, you'll find that a lot of times it's used as a similar spot where people may post links or may post opinions in professional arenas. So make sure that your Twitter handle, again, is recognizable as you. In your bio, you can talk about your degree, your class year, when you're going to graduate, and keywords. Describe your career interests. And make sure that you add your links. Add your profile link to your LinkedIn, your personal website, your blog, your online portfolio, whatever it is you want people to see. Make sure those links are consistent throughout all of your social media. One you may not think about, Pinterest, can really reflect also who you are and why you're using Pinterest. So create a bio that reflects your goals and your brand. So if you're in a specialized area, any field could do this, but let's say marketing and marketing social media specifically, you can find a lot of interest within Pinterest. So you can really create boards that would reflect that interest and show that you're constantly adding to your knowledge and show your interest. Remember that a lot of your social media has privacy settings and you can hide things. So make sure that you're using that for something you may not want the whole world to see. So let's talk about blogging and YouTube. Make sure, again, that you are searchable, that your YouTube is an easy spot to find, that if they search your name, they're going to see YouTube that's appropriate and easy to find. You can create folders or files or relevant files for your YouTube, and that way you can link back to your platforms again. Think about creating a spot for your blogs or your vlogs, video logging, to show who you are. WordPress, bloggers.com both have spots where you can build a spot to store your blogs. Again, if you're on LinkedIn and you post a blog that you wrote, you can link it back to your WordPress and show it that you've written it. Be sure that everything that you're creating, that you're posting about, is appropriate and reflects your brand. Thank you so much for listening to me talk a little further today about social media. Remember that the Career Development Center is here to answer any of your questions and help you with any of your needs. Please check in with any of the career development staff if you need anything. Once our emails are firstname.lastname@desales.edu. And once you connect with us, you'll be able to book an appointment with us and talk further if that's something you need. The other thing I want to remind you about is, again, connect with our social media. We are always posting things that may be of interest and may help you. Please check in with us. Here are the resources I use to find some of this information. If you can use any of these resources, please feel free to. And thank you for listening today.